Hello everyone and welcome back to another album review. In this video I'm going to review Injury Reserve, self-titled. Experimental, industrial and glitch hop trio released their first full-length studio album. One of the hip-hop groups that started making waves in the underground with their two first mixtapes and a great EP, Drive It Like It's Stolen. In these projects they have encaptured in a very nice way a new direction for hip-hop and experimental hip-hop music for the underground scene. And it's really nice to see the group progress and getting the attention it definitely deserves. Even if I'm not the hugest fan of their works as a fully developed thing, I do think that Injury Reserve have some great tracks and there are some of those artists that have a lot to give in the underground hip-hop industry. I definitely believe that. What's keeping me back from loving some of their full works, like the mixtape Floss for example, is that they go for a lot of different directions in hip-hop. They don't just stick to one particular sound or genre, so in some occasions it might be kind of a mess. Of course, in my opinion, it's not a bad thing to just shift the sound and just go and experiment with lots of different directions. The group definitely knows how to go into a lots of different musical directions, in lots of stylistic differences in between lots of different hip-hop sounds, and all that with some solid verses, some solid lyricism, and some of the best and most refreshing hip-hop production in recent years. But there are, in my opinion, some occasions that some of the stylistic approaches they take do not really fit their style, and there are some moments that would feel a little bit more underwhelming, like when you have some amazing, extremely aggressive moments, like the songs Boom Times 3 out of the EP Drive It Like It's Stolen, or you have the song Oh Shit from their mixtape Loss. There are some of the more chill and the moodier songs that I don't really think they fit for them all that much. Getting into this new album, I was definitely hoping for the best. I was definitely hoping that we will get a more cohesive and a better executed album. In a sense, this sort of happens in my opinion. The biggest appeal from Injury Reserve is there, the production is there, the experimentation, the glitchy beats, the atmosphere is definitely there. Some solid verses, they're there, lyricism is there. But truth be told, getting into this thing, I was not that excited with the teaser tracks out of this thing. I think the song Jailbreak was just decent. I like its extremely clean and pristine production. I like those constantly glitchy parts. I like the messaging and the lyricism out of this song. Rico Nasty has a really solid verse, but the whole song didn't really do all that much for me. The song Koruna and Lime, it has definitely a really clever way of just making the beat, the use of sampling. I love the snare out of this thing, the production is really great, but it's once again a song that didn't really click all that much for me, even though upon further listens it ended up being one of my favorites from the album, because I especially love the sampling of this thing. I think it's cleverly executed and a very well crafted hip hop song. By far the single that I loved out of this thing the most was Jailbreak the Tesla, featuring Aminé, which in my opinion Aminé's feature in this thing was a really pleasant surprise, because it shows how even bigger names want to be part of this album, and that's a really good thing. And what's also really awesome is that the verse from Aminé is actually really great. His flow, his rapping is actually kind of impressive. I didn't know he could pull something like this off. And when it comes to the rest of the thing, this is one of the hardest bangers of this year. This is a really intense, hard-hitting song with great production, and I especially love the sampling on this thing. It's a really cleverly crafted song and I really love it. So getting into this album, considering that all three of the singles go into different styles and directions of hip hop, I was worried that this album would go into kind of the same, just like with the mixtapes, where it's just going to be a mess of a plethora of different genres of hip hop, constantly shifting from one sound to the next, despite all of them sounding really good. When it comes to Richie and Grogs, I think that in some occasions they just get out of their comfort zone. Unfortunately, in my opinion, this album suffers from the exact same things that happens with also their mixtapes. It's just kind of disappointed because I had huge expectations for it. I really wanted more out of it and I think it deserves it. They can pull off some amazing songs, but when it comes to just full projects, this one is still divided to highlights and lowlights. And going into the highlights, I think that the best moments of the album are the ones that are just sort of interludes or just supposed to be some filler tracks, the ones that are not being supposed to be taken all that seriously. For example, I love QWERTY Interlude. I really like the whole way it's done. It sounds really off-putting, it sounds really glitchy, it's really experimental, and I like how in just a simple interlude of just 32 seconds long, they just show the struggle and also the appeal of having a physical copy. In this particular case, they talk about CDs, where in some of them you might find the problem that they might skip, or they might just hop into another segment. And you know, that's frustrating, but that might happen if you get a physical copy. And it's a really nice, direct and creative message on pirating and downloading stuff and digital format of music in general. And also there's the song Rap Song Tutorial, which in my opinion is one of the most cleverly crafted hip-hop songs ever made. And in no question, this is one of my favorite moments of the album. I really love the whole idea of this thing. This robotic monotone voice giving you an advice of how to create a simple beat and how to just simply and quickly make a hook, repeat that hook on the verse with some a bit more different lyrics, but kind of keeping the same vibe, the same message. And it's also a really nice and creative burn on the hip-hop music industry of today, getting on artists which the song would sound the same, they would be one-dimensional, singing the tutorial voice that when you have a song ready, you can just repeat this for about 10 times and you have an album ready. And in a sense, yeah, that's pretty much the truth. And there are just songs like this. They're so clever, they're so well crafted. I love stuff like this. This is such a refreshing take on hip hop. I wanted more stuff like this. I wanted that sort of experimentation. In other cases where I got that sense of experimentation was with the song Get the Fuck Up featuring JPEG Mafia and Gangsta Killa, which is a song I was definitely anticipating for because I really like some of the stuff from JPEG Mafia. So it was kind of disappointing that JPEG Mafia did not have a verse and was just screaming get the fuck up. I like the aggression of the song, but the second one where it goes to a more mellow side of things, it's kinda off-putting. I didn't really feel that transition all that much, and even though it gets really messy and experimental toward the ending portion of the song, I wasn't really that impressed with it, and I thought that the glitchy part in the second half, some of the frequencies were really high and the mixing, the whole thing was kinda off-putting despite its insane creativity and experimentation. And then we get into those songs that in my opinion didn't really fit all that much with what the album was building up to. Like there are some weak moments like the song Gravy and Biscuits for example. I'm not really feeling that track at all. I like the vibe to it, I like that they're going for something different, a bit more melodic, a bit more catchy, something that could be more reminiscent of 2000s hip hop, but there's not really something out of this song that really impresses me, neither with the production nor with the whole rapping and the flow and the singing on this thing. Wax On is one of the better moments of the album when it comes to instrumental in my opinion. I think it has a really solid instrumental. I think the background auto-tune parts fit really well. I like the industrial but also moody approach on this song. The thing that doesn't really impress me on that song is actually the hook. It sounds really sleepy, it sounds really awkward, and I don't really like it, including the verse on this thing. What was actually the biggest highlight on this was the verse from Freddie Gibbs. He went off in this song. Lots and various speedy flows, great rapping, excellent verse from Freddie Gibbs. Then the album offers some more mellow and chill tracks, getting a bit away from the aggressive stuff that you would find in the first leg of the album. And this is where the album decides to shift its tone and it kind of bores me a little bit. Like the song What a Year It's Been, it has some nice sounding choices, I like some of the sounds and some of the instrumentation of this thing, but it's not really that much of a special song that clicked with me. Or also the same with the song Hello, even though I sort of admire its experimentation. Best Spot in the House is also another decent moment. New Hawaii is possibly my least favorite track. I wasn't really feeling the whole vibe of this thing. It was going for something a bit more smooth, a bit more catchy, and I don't think any of the features really offer all that much, like from DRAM and Dylan Brady and Tony Velour. Yeah, this was just a really boring song. I didn't like the auto-tune segments of it at all, and it wasn't really that impressive. And the song Thermal Wave, I like the jazz sampling to this thing. I like that it gives more of a jazz rap and conscious hip hop sound, but it's still a decent finisher, nothing all that impressive. With that being said, despite having some great moments, some of the most creative stuff Injury Reserve have done, some of the most cutting edge production you can find in hip hop nowadays, when it comes to this as a full project, it's still kind of forgettable in my opinion, and there are so many moments that didn't really do all that much for me. But I'm definitely looking forward to anything they're going to do next, because they still have that something that I like from them. I like their experimentation, I like the production, I think they have a lot to offer, and this is just the beginning in my opinion. With this first full-length album, I can only see the group going up, and even if I'm not the hugest fan of this thing as a whole piece of music, it's definitely one of my highest recommendations of hip-hop albums of this year. With all that being said, this is a solid release. I'm just looking for even more than that. I'm going to give this album a 6 out of 10. What's your opinion of this album? Like it, dislike it, why, and what do you want me to review next time? Let me know down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.